Hi. So the bio as a genre is death itself. A 3-sentence epitaph. Erica Hunt's bios, by contrast, teem with what we might say is the irreducible plurality of her roles and projects. Without negating it, they contest the genre they are compelled to inhabit and refuse the expectation that a rich life work should boil down to a few limp terms. In 1993, Hunt, quote, worked as a poetry teacher, housing organizer, labor news writer, radio producer, and program officer for a social justice funder. Now, her Wikipedia will tell you, Hunt is a, quote, poet, essayist, teacher, mother, and organizer. The most current one I saw in Letters to the Future, the groundbreaking anthology she edited last year with Don Lundy Martin, tells us Hunt is a poet, essayist, and author. Note how the person, the poet, precedes and is distinguished from the author of local history, arcade, peace logic, time slips right before your eyes, and a day and its approximates, before moving on to highlight Hunt's numerous appearances in well-respected journals, awards from the Foundation for Contemporary Art and the Jurassic Foundation, and her teaching at Penn, Bard, Wesleyan, Cave Canem, Long Island University, and now Brown. To which I should add her new book, Veronica, A Suite in 10 Parts, is out this year and available tonight. This is to say that even in small gestures of presentation, Hunt seems to be saying that to ask who a person is to reckon with the sheer impossibility of knowing entirely who a person is. It is to recognize that the knowledge we can glean from any form must be partial, relational, and a shadow of intersecting categories that precede the page. Because Hunt is a language artist, she is wary of language. Her work knows, as she has written, that even oppositional language is never quite enough. Speculative projects that privilege language as the primary site to torque new meaning and possibility too often are severed from the political question of for whom new meaning is produced. So Hunt's poems, even as they balance this ambivalence toward their medium, never lose sight of their for whom. When she tells us that writing has an inherent agency to render what we know now into a palpable, plausible plenum, we should hear, besides the slip of wordplay, that crucial word plenum, its porousness to event, history, futures, and other subjects. This is a work unfinished by design, insistently interstitial. These are poems that juxtapose different registers of speech and flow from pronoun to pronoun, opening a space for the reader, perhaps a waiting Sybil, to linger. On the page, we see this manifest sometimes as radical breakage, with words jammed beyond recognition in ways that both defamiliarize and sometimes indict, or, as in 1993's Peace Logic, as an expansive white space between an institutional voice at the top of the page and an unruly poetic voice signifying on and against it at the bottom, or sometimes in building blocks of prose poetry. Against the binarism of fact and fiction, of identity and non-identity, Hunt's restless, searching stylistics show us an example of what she called for in 1990, a more fluid typology that would favor plural strategies to remove the distance between writing and experience. Such plurality granted, that distance between writing and experience morphs in her work into writing as experience, writing as a long verb. To read Hunt, as to hear Hunt read, is to live in the sharp crackle of her language as it realizes itself around us. We have to accept the challenge of inhabiting this present of experiencing, even as we glimpse how waves of history loom behind her lines and how they reach forward to futures they help constitute. It is to recognize, in a poem that may resist our desire to visualize it, a poetics that prefers verb over noun, a poetics in which the nouns are us. The bodies we can trace only by their speech and motion in her poems must be completed by our reading of her work, our tumble through her imminent remakings. As she teaches us in the poem Parabola, there is no such view outside of painting it oneself. You recall a bridge, and the bodies drape and shudder. Then you wake. Please join me in welcoming Erica Hunt.
Okay. Hi. Sounds okay. Thank you for that introduction. And thank you for the invitation to read. It's part of this auspicious series. Thank you, Dana, for your poetry. I'm going to read variously. I thought I would start with Time Slips Before Your Eyes, which I understand some people are reading. I thought I'd read a little bit from it. I have this piece called Mood Librarian, and this is my attempt to write koans. There is nothing like you in the world, and I have lost my page, looking up into your face. The sun sprints across the year. Who has time for sleep? Every beat has been measured for aches. Even as we met, we vowed never to overspend, walking briskly, pulling each other by the hand. I learn from the past of others' mistakes. Let's skip around this. The sun situates itself visible, no matter, splashy, curve in the umbrella. Catch the ball, and now I throw it. Birds purpose the air as you purpose pen and paper. Silent body, clean misleads us. My house and nobody's in it. My house and nobody's in it. Hey, hey, my house and nobody's in it. Stay with the shakiness until the next thing comes. We don't vote our dreams. They come after us. After ecstasy, laundry. Those are koans. Nothing so manages me like my own fears. Wake up after a fashion to ordinary collapse. Dream falls face down, canvas side down, stripped of their letters. Make a date with a box, who it looks good with. The sun pours through the window, but I won't let a drop touch me. Exactly my size, the version in the mirror appears closer. Holding the other hand, prisoner. Who are you to me, toe to toe? Words perform a miracle and resuscitate the body, animate it towards its tasks. Wake the stone, call back the atoms. No record is complete, still interested in the subject. Broken glass is subsumed into the glass bottle. Life, a dash between dates. And for a moment, before sickness, tea. After sickness, tea. Try writing your own koans. It's interesting. Should you find me? Should you find me, I'm the short one on the left, knocking brown against green hills, a fleck in the crowd, not to be blinked on or peeled off, coming off with the tape. Should you find me, would you have a word for me? Or do I go forward on faith for a new word, a different spelling? And where would you find me? At the top of residential grids, in the teardowns and private cul-de-sacs? Or at the bottom, in the nameless streets, pavement dwellers tapping into the futility lines for brownout power? Where would you find me? Which kidnap do you mean? In security chambers, handcuffed, soundless zeros, maximum cancellations of futurity. In the malls, maw, thrall, of fear-numbing card-bearing youth, or in abandoned villages, smoking guns, patrolled by Uzi-besotted soldiers. When the codes change, does the energy suck remain the same? Would I recognize my name in the voice calling from the burning bush? Would I hold my breath and hope it wasn't me? And if it isn't me, who else will carry the tune? If you should find me, would I have to relearn my own name, talk to the letters in the alphabet, one by one, my new best friends? Would I have to invent spill over? There's gotta be more days in the year. Birthdays shouldn't be rationed. We need new shoes. We need to replace perpetual war footing. If you should find me, does that mean the pop quiz in the picture? Rebus times pantomime, tariffs pygmy? Would I button down? Do fewer wrinkles in the forehead automatically lead to new wrinkles in the knees? If you should find me, could I stop doing red onions, beets, radishes, peppers? Then who would restore the color to crunch? Everyone knows it's not easy to hold things still. The red and its expectation, the bell and its clapper, the beat to its sugar. Should you find me, how could I miss? Who would I miss? Who would miss me? If you should find me, I would measure as it has taken time to learn how. Practice a long view, the pinch, a pause, punctuation in the moment. I'm going to read now from Veronica, a suite in X parts, which is a lamentation. So. Context is all. This me, not that me, that them. No, the other them, that we, or this we, all of we, both of them, and all of we, when there, not here, but here. In that sense, me then, before we, when we, how we, that we, for we, when we spoke, then. Someone matching your description, You wake me up, Veronica, to escort you through the door to the unknown, and I am slapped awake and paperless, my eyeglasses abandoned on the ledge, startled, a tongue triggered dry, staring into eyes emptied of the exact shape of mercy. You, Veronica, are beside yourself. Your face a burned down house. Count me in so I can walk with you, Veronica, though you are mostly alone, even dry-eyed at your own funeral. Who could shake longing to take the place of a child about to be buried? Being of two minds is not enough. When Jacob wrestled with an angel, I wonder who is wrestling with you to argue reasonable doubt when I know they never leave their fucking guns. They carry them in churches, bars, and courtrooms and put scare quotes around the world. They are never mistaken. There are no words for mistake, no reason for indefinite register. There are no words for mistake, no obvious thread that binds the master to the missing supply of mastery. Even sleeping histories, abolished fictions, live absent the bigot whose afterthought is our undermine. Just one knowing, and what is known from before, and knowing what the owners of copious knowing know without speaking, they say, without saying exactly. Be my scapegoat, my sex toy, my replenished cargo, my bowl of candy, my profit center of terror, my margin of error, my inevitable extinction, my chronic condition for which there is no escape, my death. So I had a dream. That's how this poem started. Veronica's name came to me. And they say in dreams that every person in the dream is you, or a part of you. So Veronica became a self-address and an external address simultaneously. Veronica. How we got here, we don't know. Veronica with her weird dandelion socks, me fresh from the whirlwind, the bull's eye, the twirling pinwheel, one hand over my heart. But the matter facted this, in cement, we were in narrow straits. How straightened, how narrow. Doorknob, be my heart, heart be my door. We were out of key, out of connotation. The eviction notice said as much. We were out of sweet talk. No words for the straits we were in. Chilly hands picked my pockets. No cool, no sang-froid to blanket froth. Nothing but truth burned to the ground. We were in narrow straits. How narrow? How straightened? Could it have been his tone of voice? The question itself is illegal. Heart on the sleeve? Everyone knows that's bad for business. No business dreaming. That's a quote. You know you're not supposed to sleep during the day. It will make you ineligible for the Wheel of Fortune guest pass and citizen zombie benefits. Bad intentions? Intentions can stroke or bruise while supplies last. Shit happens, or so they said, mostly to the uninsured mothers of gunshot teenagers. We were in narrow straits. Veronica suddenly surrounded, one by the dozen people turning around, facing the wind. We were out of fine points. When you're a hammer, everything's a nail. We were out of patience. No one could miss the obvious coming. We'd always paid attention, what price, what loss, but randomly assigned names. For instance, someone mistook Veronica for me, as if our names were interchangeable syllabically for black, female, fat, thin, poetic, shy, angry, unpredictably angry, closets filled with mysterious rage coming from nowhere to erupt anywhere, cat in a car, or a park, or a Kmart mall, or campus lounge, or bedroom or backyard, bathroom, grandma's house, doctor's office, emergency room, or prison. One size fits all. In the brackish melon, hibiscus, chlorine-scented calm of public space, a bright red fuse waiting for reliably unreliable weather. Veronica and I are unreliable weather, with mismatched closets of rage, potentially the mothers of gunshot teenagers, prone to brine and fixed turbulence despite the sieving motion in history. The retrieval of balance between reason and perspective does not apply to us. Instead, we teeter on the brink of boiling vertigo. Nerves strained, thin, and narrowed straits. How straightened? How narrow? The man with the largest gun boasted he was still standing. His trial went on for years. You could lose his face. In a crowd, we forgot. Our hands over our hearts did not grow there. Almost forgot how we got there. The man with the largest gun keeps talking, issuing statements through his lawyer. His trial could go on for years with our hands over our mouths. We were out of excuses. Day after day, the bodies pile up. Must be friends with the wrong police. But how did we get here? We used to know. Spark. Can you speak? Rain. Question. Do gravestones mark free? Rage. Can you escape cage death while chained to necessity? We were in narrowed straits. How straightened? How narrow? We were out of science. There suited closed eyes. No luck with 6s or 7s or even 11s. Veronica claimed my pockets spawned 0s, and we were ready to turn on each other the fire hose of free-floating ire. But for this, we exchanged our hands over our hearts, hers for mine, and mine for hers. Broken English. Wound up in words is wounded, re-wounded, rewound, rewinding, repeating, re-seeding, re-inscribing, re-inflicting, re-inserting, re-beating, and suffocating the breathing, grieving, bulleted body on repeat, wounded. Wired, reading into ache, or not, or ready, already, or not, red, syllables, detachment. It's not better. Remembered. It renders speechless. A tenderness, something else to be afraid of. Strips, skin, kindred, like kindling into broken states, rendering illegible and unintelligible. Where blackness severed tongues to cover us, and thou us dead, mute. Yet she, I, to speak all at once the thing that has been on her my mind, which words, verbs recover dignity, restores her letters to the unmuffled, unmuzzled, full-throated, as in somebodied. The dead lines teach us the proper order of time, scorched zones of property, intention, returns me her days after day to variations of question. How to breathe freely, despite shack rattle and tumult jolts. Where does glare recede? When do words lead to care, beyond sight and out of sight? A path to better resist. Couple more. Here 1,000 birds dispute, the gun going off, the random backfire, who handled who, and who rose to be recognized, and how the body came to be fresh fallen there, and why the girl was tackled, and how her wrists looked slight in handcuffs, and the exact nature of the orange pin, and the load glassing her eyes, the load incalculable, and the incalculable load. Here 1,000 birds dispute, the fresh blood on the sidewalk, the battle line, how it was drawn, how the sides were chosen. Had there been a trial or any doubt, and if so, how it was framed? Did the shot hang in the air, and who was there to hear it? And here, hold this thought, 4 people are shot every day. As xenon follows its element or night, its daytime shadow, as penumbra fades into odd solids and endures a rain of blows, there falls a rain of blows. Here 1,000 birds dispute. What went wrong? The stopped clock, the orange pin, the random call, the fall from childhood, the incalculable fall, the fall incalculable. This time, to not let the familiar obsequies mask obscenity, twist lips. The birds dispute these too. The televised worship of cinders is riveting. Junk heartache abetted by hollow gestures. The birds' disputations grow louder, frantic against glass, stunned, splintered, and hushed. The gun going off, the random backfire, appears as random as asking, who's got the gun? Who owns the gun? Who sold the gun? Who pulls the gun? And who does the gun let sleep? I like to ask questions in the poem. What paradise? Poem in an alternative reality. We tempt ourselves in bittersweet, the more to eyebrow you, dear, for we know we are cherished for a positive outlook with a hint of candor. If the correct tests are met and the results hidden, let them entrap me with fastidious curtain calls. Expect me to spectacle wrapped in the film version in which they have given themselves high marks. They're gems in their pockets. They are happy. Snapshots capture moments. Insecurity and retail telegraph the semi-public engines driving desire away from prosperity, an unreachable outpost. But let me tell you, the rubber meets the scree and slides us back into the lobby, a labyrinth of Dumbo-weighted regrets, inadmissible in most courts. It's not long before it occurs to us that No angel plays a harp that way. Implacably impatient, maybe too close to the mic like we are, way over our heads. We had better be better than them. We had better be better beginning and end, early and fitful. We had better be better beginning and in the middle too. Be better between life and death. Better in the visible and sure better than them in the places they overlook, than them in their soundtrack. We had better be better than them who draft and redraft themselves. What destroyed me created them, or so we thought, mistaking the well-off for well-being. Enough to be them, so some of us thought, and thought better of. This is no time for nail biting. Even the stones are tired of war, though neutral on the subject of throw weight and carried malice. The audience tries to pry themselves out of the script because they want to belong to themselves, whatever that means. But now it's almost time for the news. Gabriel, just to show his muscle, is yelling in a reedy tenor about his favorite programs prompted for breaking events. And yes, the reception is sharp and palpable, even if it induces nausea, familiarity, the words recognizably impaled, plates of gummy platitudes served in modern translation. There is no end to the supply of wretch or pity pulled out of the pocket on a chain, read by a newsreader in an even tone. Wasn't he in the 19th century? Maybe. The atomic age was followed by the ironic age, followed by the screen age, and so help us through the simulacrum of whosoever severed ever between knowledge and obligation. There's an amputation. The last thing that comes to mind as the end of summer staggers from one lacerating storm to the next. All side eyes and unconcealed contempt. Last poem. This is where love comes in. There's so much to do for justice. We're running out of brink. So I grab my socks and pull them up. I slip the latch on my one-track mind and avoid the chair that catches me with a nap. I point my feet in the left direction, prove I am all ears, work with the pivot, the hip, the city, its dance map, avoid the cemetery of stubborn spots, avid walks with a slow crawl, and notice the furnished detours along the way. Each step one takes in public jars the public partially apprehended panorama of the cookie cutter's regrets and is an occasion to learn from the field of the interior. Here is the street. There is home, catalog, collected histories of first aid and relief. Post no bills on dread. Seek out uncollectibles. Be suspicious of fancier goods lost and found. Bravery starts from the bottom of love notes. The warriors return with souvenirs home. In a simple assault of questions too numerous to canal, the sky's not the limit. It turns out the breeze is a whisper of eighth notes detached from the staff, and birds wing by, named and numbered in regimented flight. No words without commitment to the act of answering or defaulting to an I don't know. This is where love comes in. Coat on or coat off, hat on or hat off. Go back for the gloves. Go back for the umbrella. Go back for the scarf. Go back for the plastic orange sunglasses. Go back for the rain boots with the frog face on the toes. They like them. The boots remind them to look down and up for all the world's details, undetectable plunge beneath scrutiny. Their small hands fit perfectly into mine. They let few events escape. Mark a turned page like a bookmark, as if dropped on the path days ago. It shows up later in melting snow. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Jeez. Thank you, Dana. And thank you, Jess Lesser, for all that you've done this fall. Thank all of you for coming out this evening to hear these two great poets. There are books for sale. Friends and Mothers, buy a book. And that's it for the fall. In the spring, the visitors will be Maggie Zarowski, Julian Volosky, Sean Bonney, Lin Zhu, and remember that Farid Matuk will be here all semester as the Holloway poet. So be safe, everybody, and we'll see you in the spring. Thank you for coming.